And I was hanging out in the same circles for a long time.
Circles, which is about circling.
No.
You circles,
That's
social
incorrect.
circles.
Incorrect. Social circles.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
I don't know. You have really good language.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay.
I appreciate clarification. No, I was hanging out in circles for a while, same circles, and eventually I noticed people started looking at me more. I would just be in a conversation, and then they would physically position their body towards me a little more, and then also make more eye contact, and then ask more questions of me, like this. And I was like, what's happening? And this was as my internet presence was growing. It was like weird to have this thing like completely unrelated to my in-person thing, and then slowly like body language started shifting around me, and I was like, what the hell is happening here? And that was the first step.
So you're talking about the same social circles that you already existed inside
The
of?
same circles.
And
yeah.
but then as your internet presence was going, those circles
Yes.
started changing in shape.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, that can make sense.
I was like, what? Hello.
Uh-huh.
It was nice because then people asked you more questions. I don't think you have this problem because you sort of like you play very high.
What do you mean?
Like you play like
Like
you socially dominate.
I don't have the
people.
problem with people asking me more questions?
No, you just like extract what you want from people in a way that's like very clear and commanding, and I'm just like a little sad little sub on the bottom being like, I hope someone asks me a question. Like that.
Right. Okay. So, but what's the thing that I don't have a problem with? Because the last thing you said was, it was nice, because thank you.
Well, I just because like
You have
I'm
2
usually
glasses
like
of
a
wine now. I'll have
lurker.
both of them, I don't mind. Thank you.
I mean, we can also work on that. I don't know. It's a stressful day.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's been stressful. This has
No,
been a lot.
because okay, well, my perception is that you are like sort of take your desires in conversation in a way that's like quite dominant, such that you might notice less when people are reacting to you differently. But I could
No,
be
it's not
mistaken.
true at all.
That's
I
not true.
noticed everything.
Okay, what happened?
To me?
Yeah,
Why to get into the status stuff, you mean?
yeah. Also, yes, but I also wanted to know what things you noticed in social circles. Well, first, okay, how did you get into status?
Right, because that's how you got into status.
Yeah.
So we must keep the questions parallel.
Indeed. So that we are on equal footing.
Uh-huh. Something that exists and is possible and desirable. Equal footing. Okay. How did I get into status? It was through fashion research. It was that I was never understood. I'm like an artist and also like a person that thinks about art, like that theorizes about it, and I need to like understand like how it works in order to like do it well. But I like doing every medium a lot. And I think that mediums, like, they're significantly different, and so I have a thing where it's like, if I haven't figured out, like, an art medium yet, if I don't understand, like, if I don't have a theory of it yet, sometimes I can't fucking do it, right? And so this goes to my general, like, fighting against the concept that art is subjective. Like, I've had, ever since I was a kid, I was like, I heard that phrase is so normal, it's like, just express yourself, like, whatever you think, beauty in the eye of the beholder, et cetera, and I was like, I hate this is wrong, and I don't know why. But one of the reasons why, after like studying it more formally, and I talk about this in my video about fashion, that's like with the Jordan Peterson suits, and then it turns into me having an emotional experience about fashion. But it's that like I didn't understand like how to do fashion. I couldn't figure it the fuck out. I just did not know. And then anytime I saw it,
How did you know you didn't know?
Because I know what it feels like when I'm expressing myself through a medium and it's expressing yourself. And this was guessing, and I felt there was walls, and it was like everything was muted, and I was like, I'm not doing what this is for. I feel like I'm not doing what this is for. Like there is a richness here.
It like
I'm not touching it.
connected to the impact that other people had through the thing that you were signaling?
I could tell some people got it, and I cared about it, but I couldn't do it in a way that satisfied me. I felt like it was actually doing the thing. I feel like I wasn't doing the thing, and so
I don't understand.
Well,
That's okay.
Yeah, that is okay. But okay, that is the reason. Okay, so Asmith, you told me in Los Angeles that me and Asmith have fashion agency. Is that correct?
That sounds.
That's something you
correct.
said.
Yeah.
So Asmith is someone that I would say, like, I would have some friends like Asmith where it's like, they are doing fashion, they're expressing themselves, and they feel comfortable there, they're having fun, and they're making choices, and something even coherent is shaping out. You're seeing that they're like fluent in a language. That's what it felt like, and it felt like I'm not fluent in a language, but anytime I'd try to be like, but how do you do fashion? What's the right way? Then people would be like, well, just like, what do you want to do? What do you like? Like, make a mood board. Like, you just try stuff out. And I was like, none of this is teaching me language. You know what I mean? And so, anyways, this is a very long tale, but it comes around to that it was actually the menswear guy on Twitter, Derek Guy. Yes. Okay. For people who know Derek Guy, it was the menswear guy on Twitter, and he was dunking on people on Twitter for dressing incorrectly, and he really threw a gauntlet down like objectively incorrectly. And so then I was digging into him and what his theory was, because like, oh, thank fuck, someone believes that there's a correct way to do things. And then through him, I found W. David Marx's Status and Culture, and then I think maybe after that, I found your piece on status as well, which was the Keith Johnstone portal. And between W. David Marks and Keith Johnstone talking about status stuff, like not just fashion, but so much of like what identity is and what art is started unraveling to me. Because basically the theory that like W. David Marks would put forth is that fashion is you signaling like in-group and out-group to like raise and lower your status in various people's eyes. And that's it. Like, that's it. It's just status signaling, in-group, out-group. And as soon as I read that, I was like, got it. Done. So, like, genuinely, it was like, okay, so what's this? What am I doing right now? I'm expressing partially a 2014 Tumblr core. That's it. I fucked with Sky Ferreira growing up. Done. Also, I'm non-binary. Done. Solved. Like, all this is I'm status signaling to a particular group, speaking a particular language, kind of citing a thing.
What is Asma's signal? Is Asma's here?
No, she's too fluent. The problem is that like no, she went home. But I think the problem is that like I had to understand that on that technical level to become fluent. But everyone that I know that's good at fashion, well, a lot of people are good at a lot of different art, right? They don't analyze it down to that level. They're just intuitively doing that, but they would never call it status signaling.
What did you dress like before status happened to you?
I don't know. I was flailing. It was random. A lot of like skinny jeans and tight shirts and just that skinny jeans, tight shirts. And like, I always had the makeup thing. That was an intuitive thing I figured out early in my teens.
So sounds like you're like answering a question. Like, am I like non-binary? Am I interested in 2014 Tumblr core or something?
Yeah.
What question were you answering before then, implicitly?
Implicitly, I think maybe I just got stuck. I guess I was just like, I think I was maybe stuck in like 2000 and like 13 Kanye West and 1975. The 1975, like just skinny jeans sort of rocker, just that's it. But then anything else felt like I was faking. I was making shit up. So like I went through a phase where I had like big brown pants and like a tight little red shirt, and it was a kind of Oxford pastiche thing that my friends dressed me in. And everyone was like, oh shit, you got like, yeah, it's good fashion stuff. But I was like, sure, but this is nothing. This is nothing about me. I didn't choose it. I'm just kind of doing what people told me to do. And they're like, cool, like I got some status out of it that made me appear more fashionable. But I was like, I am not expressing myself. I have no agency. I'm not making choices.
But status caused you to express yourself as, because the thing that you're describing beforehand,
yes,
it like naively sounds much more status oriented.
Which thing?
Like I'm not expressing myself. I'm sort of figuring out what like the good signaling is through culture. I'm wearing the Oxford pants. Is that what you said?
Sure, yeah, but that's not the language that they would use, right? Like people who are good at fashion, generally, they're not speaking in status language. They're just like, oh, that's sick, or that's chuggy, or like this is in right now, or like, oh, so you're like a Harry Styles or whatever. Like,
is that not status language?
But they don't think it is.
Okay.
They just think they're speaking like their fashion languages and they're feeling stuff out, and it's very like unconscious and intuitive and unarticulated. But I needed it articulated. I was like, what makes that work? What makes that cool? Like, why? Why make any choices at all? And to me, now it's like what Derek Guy's history is that it's like it comes from status associations with things that have historical narratives. It's like from your association to things that have happened in history, to other people out in culture, and that's what fashion is. And that's what made sense to me. I don't know if that makes sense to everybody else, but that was unlocking something for me very profound.
I don't understand, but we can continue.
Really? What do you not understand?
I don't know. It doesn't feel like super intuitive to me or something.
What,
like when I think
thing?
about like fashion signaling for status reasons,
Sure.
I don't really think about self-expression. If you were doing something like I realized I was doing it for status signaling, and then I switched to like a more intentional status
I see
signaling.
what you're saying now.
I'm like, okay, that's something about that makes sense. You know, for example.
Right, but I have a philosophy where I'm basically not pursuing like self-expression, as in me. I don't define like expressing myself as just intuitively picking. I like this. I don't like this. Like that's not. I don't think that's not how I think about it at all. I feel like that's like a failure. It made me feel like I was outside of something instead of participating in like a social conversation and like doing.
So it's something like you didn't
communication.
understand the conversation, but now you understand the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Does that make enough sense?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right,
what
we'll
happens.
see. What about you? Does it make sense to you guys, what I'm saying? No, kind of. Yeah, love that. All right, cool. See, this is not a thing that I'm that particularly good at expressing, I don't think, which is why it's like, I mean, it is a video, but it's like one of those videos where I end up sort of poetically, artistically expressing an emotion and the ideas instead of like linearly, logically arguing it, because I was like, I don't think I've got it.
I was thinking about this yesterday when you were talking. I was like, you're talking about a bunch of. I mean, this is like what I've said to you before. A bunch of like nonsense, and yet somehow I feel like I have learned something at the end. Like my view on life has been enriched in some way, and it feels kind of like thought poetry. Like I'm not trying to do, like achieve a thing, but rather to like be moved in some way, like closer to my subconscious. I don't know.
I think in shapes.
Yeah.
Like so lectures, for example, is like the way I get it across is like I draw this shape and I draw that shape again and I draw that shape again. I just keep doing it, but it's different concepts every time. And then by the end, people are like, "Oh fuck the shape," and then like it works.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Oh, thanks. But
Very high status of you.
Thanks. It didn't work for the fashion thing, it would seem. So.
No, that was very low stat. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's fine. It did, but I think the bottom line is like regardless of the way that you got into it, like so you got into it initially to describe what you were experiencing in your actual life as you gained power in the
Right.
world.
Yeah, both people treating me weird, and also the weird sensation I would have around famous people. Like I remember
Right.
the first couple of times I've met somebody who's like significantly higher power than me, and I witnessed myself become completely foreign to me.
Shrink,
I
yeah.
watched my body like become tense, and then I started having thoughts about what I was going to say. It was like I became possessed.
Yeah.
And then I got out of it. I was like, "What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, why have I like what kind of?" And then after encountering this sort of extreme thing repeatedly in a bunch of different scenarios, I started noticing it in more subtle ways in everyday life. It's kind of like. There's like a drug phenibut, and like often people take it and don't feel anything. But if you take a really, really big dose of it, you're like, oh, that's what it feels like. And then when you take a smaller dose, you can sort of notice it again. You're like, oh, I can kind of tell. And it
Right.
felt like that
Yeah,
about
right.
stats. Like I mega dose status in some way, which caused me to be hypersensitized to
Yes.
it in small doses.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then did you immediately have the sensation of, oh shit, there's a little bit of this going on all the time and everything constantly?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you find Keith Johnson?
I don't remember. It was just kind of floating in the community for a while.
Okay.
My people were reading it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like clowning around.
What does that mean? You're like clowning around?
You know, like
That's how you
clowning
found...
around, like doing weird stuff.
All right, sure.
You know, hijinks.
Yeah, tomfoolery even.
Yeah, tomfoolery.
Yeah, right.
Looking in mirrors.
Right, okay. Okay. With more of the stats.
I'm so grateful for your ability to provide structure.
Is this structure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue.
The problem is I got in a swing with somebody and then I was already going and then now I'm like very performance ready.
Like before this.
Yeah, like right
8:30
before this
thing? Okay,
happened.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
I didn't have downtime before this, so I'm not like waking up into it, you know what I'm saying? I'm like
Okay, yeah.
already going. I also had the similar experience though. It's like where I figured out like the status signal-y thing for the fashion thing, and even if that didn't make sense to you, it made sense to me. And then once that had clicked, then I was like, no, this is everything. This is not just fashion. This is like almost all of it. It explains like a lot of it. There's a weird one for me that I think that the first time we talked, you were like, you felt like, like, how do I say this? Okay, I'll tell the anecdote and I'll say what you did. This is the first conversation that we ever had. And you are pretty brutal about just asking questions with like a devastating sincerity that sometimes throws you really hard. And so I had one, I was talking about an experience that I had where I was hanging out with a very high status person, like a celebrity, and it was like, and then there was a second celebrity came over, and we're all there in a fucking penthouse, and I noticed that we sort of organically self-organized into a status cascade semicircle, where it's like there's like powerful famous person number one, there's the girl that's fucking powerful famous person in the center. On the other side, it's the other powerful famous person who's sort of also making moves at the girl that's kind of with the person. And then levels of closeness. And I was at the end of the semicircle with the other people that were the friends from Toronto. Like the room had just self-organized into a status cascade. And they were musicians, and literally like one of the powerful musicians, whatever, one of them was literally like just playing their own music videos and talking about it while all of it just sat in the corner like dogs waiting for crumbs. And I was like, and I noticed, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm like down here, like I'm supposed to sit here like a good little boy and socialize with the other dregs and hope that the high status will throw me a crumb, and when that happens, I'm there, I'm ready for it. And I'm privileged to be there. Well, but I felt I hated it. And so I just walked away and I went to my room and I just started reading a philosophy book. So I was like, fuck that. And then I remember when I described that story, you were like, why? Why did you leave? Because like, why would you abandon even that little bit of status? Like, why would you not like go take that status? Do you still feel like that's a question, or do you understand why I left?
I think I was curious about your own rationale for abandoning the thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Like my model of things is this was probably like a self-status preservation move.
Yeah.
Like you identified that you were too low on a status hierarchy for your own taste and wanted to like find one in which you were higher.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I think the other way that I would describe it is just pride, where it's like, I think my status is higher than this, and I will not be disrespected.
Yeah,
like this.
basically.
Like, I am above this, I will not accept this.
Yeah. Which I think is to some degree why people avoid making status salient, because if it is very salient, it is more likely to trigger that pride response, and you can have like more stable status hierarchies if at no point did it become salient.
If people don't bring it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But that's the thing that I started thinking about immediately that I think is very interesting, because I think you had one that was about, we got in an argument about whether or not Taylor Swift was high status one time.
Wait, I vaguely remember this.
We record.
What was I arguing? I forget which of my.
It was, well, you were.
I think I was arguing she was high status.
Yeah, of course. You were arguing that she was high status, and I was like, but like but I think that's like a technical thing that's like, because your theory of status, what did you call it? Like desire points or attractor points or something like that? Like if you have more desire points, you have more things that people desire, your status goes up?
Yeah, if you have the thing that other people know that they want or something.
Yeah, right.
I know that.
Something like that.
It's my own
yeah,
theory.
it's your own writing on your own, yeah. So I think I think one of the things that I think is interesting is that the self-preservation status thing, like, it's possible to find your status in like a sort of imaginary third eye. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, like I am not actually I do not actually have a lot of high status amongst the full-blown philosophical community. You know what I mean? Not really. Maybe a bit, because philosophy professors speak to me and there's a bit there. But I'm not actually like, there's not like a bunch of people out there, and that's where I have my popularity and my success and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
But still I have this imagined concept of myself, which is I chose to identify with the concept of philosopher, and then I have this like, this model up there that's like I'm gaining my status by living up to this model. Do you know what I mean? It's like an imagined.
I feel like I have a lot of skepticism about this.
Why? How do you mean?
I just don't really think. I mean, okay, so I think there's like a thing where, like, for example, people have a lot of difficulty consistently lying.
Yeah.
Outside, and so thus they lie to themselves, so they're consistent.
Yes.
For example.
You're talking about the elephant in the brain thing?
Yeah, I read like a third of that, so I don't remember. But yeah, but something like this.
I also, yeah, you can skip chapters of that one. I think
Yeah,
the way
so-
it's structured, it's kind of okay.
I
I
forgot
think.
what I was gonna say. I completely lost my train of thought. What were you
You're
saying?
skeptical of the concept that somebody finds their status by appealing to like a model instead of what's around them.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is like this is some sort of installed shorthand thing. Like we have the sense of appealing to a model, but like in reality, it is really tied to other people. Very much. Like you're appealing to like the imagined other person. You know, you imagine like a specific type of view, and you're like, I want to gain status in that view, but that view is like informed by your exposure to other actual human beings.
I think you're probably right. And upon that pushback, I think I can definitely grind it down to the raw materials, because I think that I actually, you said this awesome thing one time, which was that, like a lot of like finding your place like in a relationship or something, like a lot of your identity is by finding how am I high status compared to the other people around me. Like it's finding the weaknesses in the people around you, and then you find that thing that you have that they don't, and then you're like, okay, I know who I am, and I know who I am in this situation. And that happens in like all of your relationships. I think that's probably true. And so like me, you know, I was not tremendously like popular in like high school or anything like that. So the thing that I have had is like some like perception of like principledness or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like I am like have like ideals and I stick to them or something like that. You know? And so I think that's part of why like the.
But you're saying you were low status in high school, so you developed persistence to principles.
I wasn't going to get status by being good at sports or successful in academics or.
But people generally reward status to being like a good person.
What?
People reward status to being a good person, right? Which tends to be what like being principled means.
No, but I don't think that is what that means. I think it's like a little more. I think it's like.
I think independently you can like having principles for like just completely reasons unrelated to status also, separately.
I know, but for me it's not about, I don't think I ever, I think I let go of a long time ago trying to gain status by being like known as a good person or like a moral person. Or I didn't think that didn't seem like a good strategy. I'll just say that when I was growing up, because of just my life and my circumstances. But I think it's more like a sensation of like competence and like impressiveness. That it's like I take being a philosopher very seriously, and people are like, oh shit, they took it so seriously, and then I get that status. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, like you are so devoted to this thing that other people recognize your devotion as like something impressive in and of itself?
Yeah, I think I
Okay.
started getting like attached to like being committed and devoted to like the things that I care about, and like having really passionate opinions about like art and what is good and what is bad and what is beautiful, and then like being really, I think I'm known for being very like solid in those things, and like working really hard at those things and arguing them like really well and
Yeah.
like trying to live them and embody them, and then people are like, oh shit, that's the real deal, and I
Yeah.
get some sad. I think I get that.
I
But
feel like-
by being really loyal to like this model of like this is the right way to do this and the right way to do that, then I think I do get like ambient status from people where there's like that person takes it seriously. That's the real deal.
I've been working off and on a post, my next post in my status series with like status versus the voice of God. Like, what is not status?
That's sick. That's good.
Yeah,
That's good. We talked about that in the same podcast. I think.
probably.
Yeah.
I have a terrible memory. But there's like, you know, some things are status and some things are not. And there's a thing where it's like somebody has a gravity well. Like occasionally you meet these people who are like, they're emanating some kind of conviction that is totally independent of what other people think of them. They're like, no, this is the thing that I believe in no matter what. And that is like extremely like hard to not create gravity around.
Yeah.
Like that's like the one real thing. When status is usually kind of like fake things chopped onto fake things, or rather like signaling on top of signaling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the same, once you like finally emanate something like that's really true, then I mean, but that in itself causes status dynamics, right? Like it's
Yeah,
very high
yeah.
status to be, you know, it's like a weird thing where it's like if you let go of the thing and you just speak from truth and not the desire to gain status, then that in itself is high status.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, but I can't really like disconnect sometimes. Like the I felt a little suspicious when you were saying that. I was feeling a little suspicious because I think I'm suspicious of like myself, because it's like I don't know. I wonder if I got head pats for other things, would I have become like, would I be the kind of person where I'm like, I try to be really honest and like say the truth and have integrity and stuff like that? Or was that me retreating away from the fact I was not fucking popular and that I didn't have like regular things giving me enough esteem to like move through the world? I don't know. I thought there was a really interesting, this is a really weird reference, but it's like Angela from Smosh on Hank Green's podcast. Yeah. And there's talking about like, there's like some phenomenon around like how like kids with glasses, like you kind of like teachers kind of have this assumption that they're smart and they're like bookish, and so then they just get that extra attention, and then they get head pats for being smart, and so this is this sort of like thing that results in the nerd phenomenon, kind of
Because they like
self-reinforcing.
lean into being smart because of that?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so they were talking about the concept of like she was talking about the concept of like, oh, was it that like I was singing at a young age and then people gave me head pats, and so I kept singing and now I'm a singer and I think that I'm passionate about singing.
Yeah.
But what if I got head pats for a different thing? So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I feel like I have like I guess I'm suspicious of the voice of God thing because I've been like, I get like complimented, like you literally, I have a quote of you on my website, like describing my lectures as sometimes having voice of God contact thing, right? And so it's like, I think I got that, head pats for that.
for the voice of God.
Yeah, and so then I'm like, that's right. I speak the truth and I am authentic and, you know, but that might be me just over-speccing into
I
something.
think it's like part of the process though, because it's like
Yeah.
you
I don't
once
think
you
it's bad.
once you become like in contact with some kind of truth, and then there is always going to be some kind of reaction to it, and then it like calcifies into this object, and then it no longer is a thing, and then the reaction to that becomes like it's always a movement. Like the voice of God is not a static location; it's
No.
always like a process of direction or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That seems like very much part of the thing
Okay.
to me.
I don't know, but then I'm just also suspicious of the voice of God thing because it's so undifferentiated that I'm like, I feel like Jeffrey Epstein had voice of God energy.
Maybe.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm not saying the voice of
'Cause-
God is like
No, because I feel
ethical.
like, because I think that feels very clear to me. Whenever I think about like, about how did Epstein like manage to do all that stuff? And I'm like, I think that's the kind of person, you know, someone that's like has this sort of weird, disarming, honey, Riz energy that sort of melts your moral boundaries slightly. Where you get in that position where you get caught cheating or lying multiple times, and then you get in the meeting, and the person's like, yeah, I did it. Like this story happens so much in like his story in that whatever that one big article was, where he's like he gets caught doing something improper, and he's like, yeah, I did that. just like real. And then by the end of the thing, for some reason, it's like, you're all right, and they just get out of it. And because it's like you have like that like weird voice of God, like Riz energy that makes things feel honey and vague, and then, do you know what I mean? So I feel just suspicious of.
Have you did I talk to you, or have you read my enlightened interviews post?
Enlightened interviews post?
Yeah, I interviewed a whole bunch of people who claim to be enlightened.
No, I don't think I read that.
And then I wrote a post based off this. But basically, I was talking to like some advanced monk or something, wore like monk-ass robes.
Monk-ass robes.
And then I was talking about some other advanced meditator, like written some books. And the monk was like, that meditator's bullshit.
Yeah, right.
And then I got into this thing, I'm like, all the advanced enlightened people think everybody's fake. I'm like, what is going on? There's this like horrible infighting. Anyway, so I started interviewing a whole bunch of people who claimed to be enlightened to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then basically, okay, this is a whole thing, but my conclusion eventually is that you can be enlightened and be a fucking dick. Like, a lot of people have this conception that like having, some kind of access to some side of like deep truth where like who and what you are causes ethical behavior. And I'm like, no, these are actually quite separate things.
Yeah.
Entirely. And it's like fucking it up to like think that they're like, a lot of people are like, oh, they're very charismatic, they must be. Some people will be like, oh, I met this enlightened person and I could tell he was enlightened because he radiated love. He looked at me and there was peace. I felt really good in his presence, blah, blah, blah.
Or like they really saw me.
They really, yeah.
Because I've had that power since I was like
to like see people.
19, yeah. To like I see into their soul, or like some people. Some people were like they saw like they knew who I was before I knew, which is like this sort of like cult leader power thing, but also kind of functions as sometimes that's spiritual guidance, right? Sometimes that's mentorship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It can be both.
Yeah.
But anything that it is not the same thing as like. I guess like I'm using enlightenment sort of as the same thing as the voice of God, which I don't think is actually true, but they seem to be parallels. So taking it into a different shape or something.
Right.
I just mimicked you there slightly.
Yeah, you did it.
But
are you looking at the people leaving and having
yes,
thoughts
I
about
am
it?
looking at the people leaving.
Yeah,
It's
I have
okay.
thoughts about it too.
Go first, Spoke. It's okay.
All right, great.
It's okay. I have a
I-
desire to reassure.
No, I had to train myself to not do that. Like I started when I was first doing like lectures. Whenever someone's leaving, I'm like, "Where are you going?" And it was fun
That
for a
Slack
bit.
cut was really nice. I think
Yeah.
it like shocked everybody into terror, which was a good feeling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what was I saying?
You're talking about the voice of God is different from
Oh, yeah, it's
enlightened,
different,
and
but,
being
okay.
enlightened doesn't mean you're a good person.
Yeah, I think you can be totally enlightened, and the thing is, like, the process to get enlightened often like runs through a bunch of things that cause concrete effects, and we tend to associate those concrete effects with the final conclusion, but they are not the same thing, and they can be decoupled. And sometimes you can get all of the concrete effects of going for this core goal without actually getting the core goal, but you still like are very charismatic and powerful and very peace or whatever.
Okay, I have 2 follow-up questions. First, what is enlightenment then? After your interviews, what do you think
It
it is?
depends. I came up with 5 categories that people seem to say.
Okay.
My goal was to just find out what people meant by the thing and not.
Yeah,
I forget the category. I wrote this a while ago. But one is like technical enlightenment, like when nerds meditate and then they like optimize it and they're like, I can slow down my vision so that I can see the flickering of the screen, which is pretty cool. I think this is real.
Sure. Yeah. Being able to like modify your attention, like it's like a muscle, like you have fine muscle, like dexterity. Or
Yeah,
something.
and it tends to be primarily meditation based. So you have like maps of this stuff, and then you have like psychedelic meditation people, not just psychedelic people. People are like, I had a really big trip, and then I had ego death, and
Sure.
then I saw what I truly was, and whatever. And then you have like the traditional Buddhist people that were like, Buddhism.
Yeah. End sentence. Next point.
And I'm trying to remember the other ones. There was people. Totally non-spiritual enlightenment. Some people reported like, I had a realization about the world that caused me complete peace and to just be happy forever, and I stopped suffering. And absolutely, I used 0 spiritual language. And then when I asked them things in a spiritual tone, like what about, did you discover we are all one or consciousness? They're like, what are you talking about? We
people
evolved
have just
from
purely
monkeys,
that's awesome.
Completely. And I think there's another one I forget,
Yeah.
but it's something like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that's sick. It reminds me of like the biblical thing, like the scriptural thing, where it's like, like on the final day, it's like God's gonna come separate the wheat from the chaff, and you're gonna be like surprised at who's on what side.
Yeah.
That it's like some of the Christians are gonna be like, oh shit, I'm in hell, and some people that like never believed in God at all, they're gonna be, I'm in hell, what? And it's like, yeah, that was God. You were doing God stuff. Yeah.
I remember the last one, and then I couldn't listen to you because I was excited to talk about the last one. The last one was
that makes sense. That's fine.
The last one was like a functionality. Like I am aligned. I wake up at 7 a.m. I like stopped fighting myself, and now I know exactly what I want, and I eat healthy.
So like
That was
you
the
like
last one.
crash against the wall of discipline and
Yeah.
something broke in you.
Yeah, like they were defining enlightenment primarily along like, am I able to enact my goals?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you define those things like that doesn't sound like those people have to be moral people at all.
That's true. I think most of the enlightened people that I talk to, at least the classically enlightened ones, are like the meditation / Buddhist ones.
Okay, so
Slash
then
psychedelic ones.
what's the relationship between the enlightenment and status thing? Out of curiosity, is enlightenment involve letting go of status things in some sense, or do they not affect each other?
Oh,
Are they
just
different
like
lenses
okay.
that aren't compatible?
Well, oh, naming the thing isn't the thing, and the like thinking that nice things associated with the thing are not the thing. Like
What
just
the
like
fucking-
being like
sorry,
a
1 second.
fantastic.
Just say it again.
Like when you're like very charismatic and good on stage and being loud and vibrant. Like sometimes this is the voice of God, but sometimes it isn't. And sometimes I feel like,
Wait. You originally went voice of God. I asked about enlightenment and
Oh,
status,
I thought
and
you-
voice of
well,
God got in there.
It came from the voice, like
Okay.
being like emanating a true thing that is like actually genuine and actually yours, and not in reaction on even a subconscious level. I think is
Right.
like voice of God, and it has similarities with the concept of enlightenment.
Okay, so a kind of like authenticity, like
Yeah,
untarnished.
I'm feeling self-conscious now. Like if I gotta go into a rabbit hole and I don't remember why I'm here.
I'm happy with it. I like it.
Okay.
And it happens, I think, also every time we talk, so just get used to it. I'm trying to forget that people are here. So
I also feel like I wear something like this every time we talk for some reason, even though I don't feel like I normally.
Yeah, you have a wide range of skins.
Mm,
Like Fortnite, I mean, you know what I mean?
no, I don't play Fortnite.
Me neither. Okay. So, voice of God. Okay, wait. For me, can you re-articulate the voice of God thing? As in, it's like something that...
Sometimes you radiate the voice of God.
What?
Sometimes you radiate the voice of God. Sometimes I look at you and I'm like, wow, it's coming off of you.
I radiate? Is that
Yes,
what you're saying?
radiate.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so like sometimes
Thing.
not
Thing?
or whatever.
No,
like
that's not a
occasionally
thing.
like you
That's not
look
what
and
that is.
like there it is.
Yes, right. No, right. Uh-huh.
Right, which I think
Uh-huh.
is part of the reason you're high status.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but I also think that the high status thing is partially like a very much performance-oriented thing. Because as soon as I started on YouTube.com, I already had some pretty strong... Like, obviously, like, people generally have natural rizzes. And Keith Johnson talks about this, and you've written about this, right? You can, like, be charismatic by being low status or by playing high status. Like, both ones can be... I really love the examples you used. I forget what it was. It was like just like you have your partner's like made you a meal and like, you remember not to fucking burn it this time? And that's like high status joking, but it's affectionate. You're being sarcastic. It's funny. It's funny. It's funny. And then what's the other one? Being like, oh, thank you so. I don't know, but I can't think of the joke because I don't play that riz.
I mean, one of you can respond to the joke at high status, being like, well,
Playing
maybe
low.
maybe if you cooked it right.
Oh,
then
right,
I
you
would.
respond high. Or you
Versus being like, oh, I won't burn it. I'm sorry.
yeah, or it was like yeah, like whatever, playing along with it but being low. So there's like baseline, like what's your kind of comfort status position to play, even for fun, and for me, high, generally, but also that's not exactly true because in my personal relationships, like I have borderline personality disorder. I have very bad social anxiety. I have this bad problem where I have really bad social anxiety, but I have that being true. It does not have any bearing on how I am capable of behaving in social situations. So no matter what,
that is crazy to me, by the
It's
way.
weird, yeah.
It's like, I don't understand how
I
that
can't
works.
do anything except for the thing that I can do, either because I just spec too hard in it because I've had PATS or something innate, whatever it is. But like I just do the thing that I do, and then afterwards I'm like, fuck, what do they think of me? Fuck, what do they think of me? You know what I mean? And all that stuff. So then, anyways, in my friendships, and like my family and stuff like that, there's a lot more low going on. But when I started on YouTube.com, well, I was being funny on purpose, so high status jokes broadly. And then I was also thinking slightly artistically because it's high status jokes and some coldness and stuff, and it's sharp and spiky, and then you are vulnerable. Then I'm like, will be impactful. So this gives me more colors to do a thing to people on purpose. And then also, I was joining in 2021 when I already had some strong convictions and sense of like how dangerous the internet is. And I also already had sort of lost trust in people as like a kind of baseline thing. And so part of the reason, like I went on the internet and I was like, doing hard sort of like jokes about like, remember, you're not my friend, and like, fuck you, and I'm gonna kill you, just randomly for no reason. And all that sort of stuff. Part of it was like a sort of calculated distance creation. And also like programming people so that I would be safer and freer And also that I would get the people that I want. You know what I mean? Because like if it's people where if you can say like if you're one of those people that you're one of those like online people that's like and I love you guys and we're a family and we built this together and let me know in the comments what you think I should do next and I love you guys so much. I love meeting you guys. Like if you're that, then if you say like if you meet someone in public and you're slightly rude, they're gonna make a Reddit snark post about you, right? But I was already suspicious of the internet and of people in general, so like I kind of just was wise enough to.
How did you end up suspicious of the internet beforehand? Like, did you have friends who got canceled or something?
There's that, experiencing that on the ground, like very early on, because I was like a teenager through like the 2000, like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I seen that happen and I'm like, something's wrong. Something's wrong and you can't trust people, and learned that. And then the internet thing is just because of us on the internet, right? Like I followed like the lefty video essayists through, just through that same time period, basically. So I watched, like, everyone get canceled. Everyone think that this is a big family and we're gonna build a good, nice thing. And then all of them get canceled and everything get very ugly. And I saw that how, like, trying to do authenticity on the internet, stupid. Doesn't work. And,
hey.
Sorry. No, okay, I know, but, like, I look at your Twitter and I worry.
That was such a low move on my part there. Just be like, you hurt me and I'm sad.
No, I know, but I do look at you on Twitter and I feel worried for you. It makes me sad sometimes because I'm like you're choosing to be like this like baby, and I don't mean that actually negatively. I mean like full contact with reality, full expressing emotions and trying to be sincere. I'm like, Aella, don't stop it. They're not receiving it. They never will. They're only ever gonna hurt you. And I'm seeing you like LSD enlightenment style, except like being hurt is part of it. This is part of the experience. I'm like, Aella, stop.
So Christian of you.
I don't know, it makes me sad, But yeah, I chose not authenticity. And so high status is basically like partially it's like what I decided my job is. And is the correct way for me to do much. So even like getting on stage right now, like the thing will change. Like, okay. All right, so I got on stage and I was just doing a mentoring thing for an artist. And so I was wielding like the high status. This person was a fan of me and they're fantastic. And so I was wielding the high status to give them a lot of extreme validation and raising them up really, really high. And it was on purpose. And I wanted to give them a lot of information that might be useful to them. And all of that was better served by wielding high status. And so then when I came on stage, I'm like, I'm already in that zone. But I'm noticing the more that I look at you, and the more I start thinking about like wanting to have a conversation with you, I start like softening and getting like littler. I don't know if you've noticed, like it's kind of an up and down thing.
I have
right?
not noticed.
I also had some social anxiety around the fact that it's like, are people thinking I'm an asshole? Because some people might be here for Aella and they're seeing me for the first time, they know anything about me. Am I coming across badly? So then I was like, okay, let me. Do you know what I mean?
Is it because I'm like higher status in these circles, maybe?
No. It's because I don't know these people, and I have anxiety about how I come across.
That makes sense.
But also, I think it's my job when I'm on stage.
I keep having like an urge to like make status references to the current moment. I noticed. I'm just naming that. You can keep going.
It can be a fun psychedelic experience. Would you like to start it by changing chairs?
We could try it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's change the visual hierarchy.
Oh, it gives me a better view of the audience
oh, fuck,
also.
I'm so little now.
Yeah. That's right.
And I'm in this, and oh my god, and I don't look as cute either. All right, okay. Let's get into it. Let's live it. Why do you look like a fat lord? What's this?
That's weirdly made me feel different, is sitting here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought it. So
Okay.
do you want to do status analysis do you want to do the psychedelic, aggressive, uncomfortable, describe?
Well, I'm not saying that like I want to like go there. I just like noticed throughout our conversation I was like habitually like checking or referencing it.
It makes sense. We were gonna have to like I think demonstrate that at some point. Do you want to do it? You want to just?
I'm scared. I'm scared
Why are you scared?
because I don't know what you're gonna say.
What I'm going to say?
Maybe I'll be uncomfortable and it'll be terrible.
Maybe it'll be uncomfortable.
I'll be uncomfortable.
Maybe you will be.
It's okay. It's okay. We can try it.
Okay. Just when it comes up and
Yeah.
it's interesting enough.
I'm kind of also curious if people listening have a sense of their own status, not literal status, but like status method. Like I tend to play very low, as in like you make a joke and I'm like, oh no, right? And I'm like, in general, in conversation, if you're like, you think you tend to play very high versus very low versus like, I don't know. Can I see like?
Yeah, do you know if you have a status specialty, if you tend to riz in a high or low or something like that? It may be hands for high.
Saying high.
Hands for high.
Some mid.
Hands for high status,
Some real
joking,
high.
basically. And hands for low status, jokingly.
Oh.
Like you tend to do little... You're being mid.
You like do both. You're like a switch.
Okay. Okay. Wait, is this a thing? Because I saw this happen before. It's like the raising hand is the answer to the question on a gradient. Is that a...
That's what I was attempting to do. Just like
No,
raise your hand.
I saw Nate do that earlier, so I was like, is this
Yeah.
a thing that people do around here?
Sometimes.
Like circling.
We also sometimes do that.
And saying the word model.
It's like a ranked choice voting.
They say it so much. Okay. Okay, sorry. So do you want to do that? Do you want to do the prop? I took over. I did my...
I don't. Okay, and I feel like I'm directing things, but the problem is I don't feel like I deserve this chair.
You're in the director chair, so do it.
Okay. Well, I didn't have a vision. I was just noticing.
Just like ask the question again, but use the gradient hand thing instead.
Okay,
of, I was
gradient
making
hand.
it dualistic.
Okay. Emphasizing that this is not a reflection on your actual status. This is you tend to play high in conversation to like make dominant jokes, sort of, versus like make like rollover jokes or responses. Can I see? Put your hand on a gradient from I play high to I play low. I think we might have a selection because I'm seeing the high hands. Okay, because the high hands are high.
Right. Yeah. Physically, the low hands are less
Or
visible.
Doris like.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like I'm seeing a pretty good distribution. I wonder if this would like be a good like matchmaking thing, where you put the highs and the lows together.
Stop doing Aella stuff. I was just joking. It was a joke.
What the fuck did you say about me?
No, it's get everyone to self-report their perceived status, and you're like, we can make a matchmaking thing out of this. I'm like, they're not data. They're people. They're alive.
Live people are data.
I'm uncomfortable with that sentence, but it's obviously true.
What I mean, remember when I met you? Well, not met you, but like, what is it? Oh yeah, it was recently. It was like the last time we were hanging out, and I was like, "You want to do Cloud?" And you're like, "No." And then I made Claude make a website for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aella had Claude like vibe coded a website about who is. It was a website that explained who CJDX is for autistic people. Was that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of like sensory content warnings and timestamps and explanations about like sometimes like CJ says things like they're going to kill you and stuff, and that is a joke. It's sarcastic. It's the joke. The joke is this, and there's all these kinds of jokes. Yeah, I remember that. It was against my will.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were asking. Okay, playing high status versus. Okay, that's one thing. Is the status you play is separate from the thing that you are.
Yeah. Generally speaking.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you talk about.
Like, I think I'm relatively high status in this community, but I think I'm kind of uncomfortable with this on some level because I'm used to playing like the don't hurt me role.
Yes.
Like very instinctively, I'm like, I'm not a threat, haha.
Do you see like the problem I'm having here?
Mm.
Where I was like gonna pour more wine for myself, but it's like there's a second cup of wine, but that's yours. But it
Oh, I
seems
see,
weird
yeah,
to it all just I'm like I got stun locked.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. Now I'm wanting to do status analysis stuff on the cups. There's one thing that Keith Johnstone talks about is you can play high or low status also to objects, not just people. And so like that's like a classic like funny story that you can act out in like a drama program thing where it's gonna be like, okay, so it's like the slave is made accidentally the king. So now it's like the low status person became the high status person. But then you can play that in two different ways. You could either do the slave is now the king and he's like, like he's eating it up, like he's leaning into it. Or that the slave is now forced to be high status, but is like low status to the throne in the room. Yes, you know? Anyway, so I was like, the cups were like status mogging me. I was like, I'm scared of them. They have power over me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No? Okay. What, yes?
Yes.
Cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Cool. That was a very low status joke that just then too. Like your face, you played so low status. That was like the vulnerability eyes of going like, yes. Like that's a low status joke.
If you had had 3 cups.
Are you talking about the wine joke or the saying yes? As
No,
a
you
joke?
saying yes the way you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
did it.
yeah.
I was doing the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you looking because you're looking at people if people are here or walking away again? Were you
I
doing that
think
thing?
I was zoning out.
You're
But no,
just
I wasn't
zoning
zoning out. I think I was thinking about it. I was thinking about like objects as status things, and I was thinking about if there was like a game we could play, but then thinking this is probably not the correct time to play a game.
Yeah, it's probably not. It was probably playing a game would be fine, but it's probably not the best time to design a game from scratch.
That's correct. Yeah.
Seems like a
oh,
bad
I
idea.
also think about like, I think it is like easier for me, for example, to think and talk about status because I am locally high status, and a lot of people who are lower status are really averse to thinking you're talking about status, and I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to be like, yes, because you are low status, you have these behaviors,
Yeah,
right? Like that's like really terrible,
yeah.
and it like sort of limits the ability to like both think and talk about it freely in some ways. And I think I have a desire to talk about my sensation of being low status around people who are significantly higher status than me.
Right, because you can't get that data without hurting
Yeah,
people
basically,
otherwise.
basically.
Right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but it's
actually.
terrifying. It's fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll be around somebody who's like much more powerful than me, and I'll be like, I would like to talk about how I'm intimidated by you, but it's like feels like the most inaccessible thing in the world.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like, if when the stakes are like high, like that.
Right.
I really get that because like we like talking about it because we both have already like the pre-established context of wanting to talk about status stuff, and because we've noticed that we can suffer a pretty equal interplay socially or whatever, like teeter-tottering.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think we have similar tiers in different spheres.
Universes, yeah, different worlds.
Which is nice.
Yeah,
I,
so,
I, I
yeah.
feel most comfortable with people who are from a different universe because I really like the sensation of not knowing what their status is.
That's fun. I have a question.
You.
Yeah, me. It was about. Did you pick me?
Yeah, in the front. You're in the front.
Hey, Aella. I love your blog.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
It's nice to meet you. What was your name?
My name's CJ. It's my first time at Light it's been so
Nice
cool.
to meet
It's been
you, yeah,
so
yeah.
cool. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
So I was wondering because earlier you were talking about high status people, or low status. You were talking about how low status people, how you don't want to talk about status with low status people because it's rude. It's rude to them, or it feels bad when you're talking about status and everyone's acknowledging that you're low status, and it feels bad. That feels bad. And so I was wondering. I'm actually wondering do you think that's true? Because sometimes I think obviously it's probably, like it feels good to bask in status. It's probably more comfortable to talk about it and do the analysis if you are higher up the thing and you know you belong. It's not just fucking torture to realize you're at the bottom of it consciously again and again. Mm-hmm. But I also think that part of the like status taboo is like that W. David Marks is like that, he just calls it that first rule of status, everyone fucking hates talking about status. When you start pointing it out, they don't like it. And they squirm. And I I would do this on my lecture that's about status. Is I do it like I introduce the concept of status and I open it up and that you're always playing a status and that you can always, I call it like you can just look. I forget what it is. It's like the vibe check. I think I just call it the vibe check, where it's like you can just check in your body, just like how am I feeling status wise in this room and in this conversation against this person. You can just check in your body, right? And I just did in my body, and I felt okay. Two things. The first one was the thing of like what we just described. There's a bit of like equal pressure that is comfort, which is like I don't know, you know, like in Emperor's New Groove where they lean on each other's backs and crawl out of the pit. All right, never mind. So that was the first thing, and then the second thing was that you were like looking at me like this, and then it was really I started getting. It was like you look cool and you're high. So the vibe check is you can just check. So in my lecture when I'm talking about this thing, I go like, so for example, all of you in the crowd, think about your last relationship, your last romantic relationship. Do you know which one of you was higher or lower status in that relationship? Yeah. And then it was like, yeah. And I'm like, anyone with someone here tonight? and then I abort. I'm like, abort. Because you can just check. I forget the reason I was saying that. Oh, it's because my theory, at least like down here on a level or something like that. I think it's also uncomfortable for people to sometimes acknowledge status because they notice that they are high status and they are enjoying it and they're trying not to know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt really uncomfortable with this for a long time.
Yes.
I was like, I'm not supposed to like
the feeling,
the attention and the privilege this affords me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I feel uncomfortable. There's some environments that I go in, because there's a squirmy feeling. Mine is like different than yours, I think, like your experience, but like when my experience has been going into rooms and realizing like the power of the status that I'm like wielding and noticing all of that, there is a squirmy feeling. It's like, well, I'm not in real life right now. Am I bad? Am I doing, like, I don't know. I don't know if I always like knowing that, but I can't stop noticing it. And I actually think that it's probably the responsible thing to like notice it and know that and know how to like wield that. I think that's, you have to.
Yeah, I started doing it very deliberately. Like before, I would be like, I'm gonna go to a place and then have a nice time. But now I think, okay, I'm going to a place and I know that people are going to give me a lot of attention, so I'm going to be celebrity. So like for me, I've started pulling a bigger gap between being a celebrity and being not a celebrity. You know,
Yes.
like I'm going to
Yeah.
go play celebrity at this event now, and then I go and then I play the celebrity, and like that is my expectation, and then I do it, and that is my role, and then I'm done, and then I turn it off and I leave the room. I think I found that like going into a place and not knowing exactly the thing that I'm playing, it becomes the hard and confusing thing.
Yeah, like am I on or
Yeah.
not? Yeah. And when you think about like what you're playing, how do you think about that? Because I tend to think about that like super like strategically, and how can I provide the most value to this room, basically, generally. Sometimes I'll go like evil, like just have fun, you know? And people like that too, obviously, because you're high status, so.
Well, yeah, it feels like the last
Sometimes.
event I went to where
Exactly.
I was a celebrity. I was saying that I noticed people started lining up in front of me.
Yeah.
They just I just went, and then I would like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. I would go out and I would stand in public and I would just stand there, and then just a line would form. I'm like, this is so cool. And I feel like a king. Like peasants had come to like provide me.
Yeah,
with
they're coming
sheep
one at a time
or
to have their
something.
time before the king, and
Or-
they're like, my apologies, I don't mean to take up too much time, but there's a
Right.
small matter I wish you to attend to.
Literally exactly that. Yes.
Yeah.
Literally that. And I'd be like, okay, and so as a king, I get to like make the ruling, or like give the advice, or like give the phone number for the connection for this other person.
No,
that they
yeah, there's
need,
a
right?
benevolent king thing to
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
And so that really felt like the role that I was playing. Like I'm going to go out and play the gift giver in some way.
But then that's obviously markedly different from the first thing that you were talking about, which is it was just your normal ass social circle that you started noticing that dynamics
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah. Because I wasn't expecting it. I was like, these are my friends, or like this is like the meetup that I go to every week. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then. Or because like I do go to like a lot of events at Lighthaven or like the rationalist communities, and they would have like mega meetups. So you know, there's always stuff going on with the broader community. So I was always, but like I'd been there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you making that face?
I just because I feel like I'm like viscerally noticing that the dynamic has changed a lot since you got in the high chair.
Now I'm more confident.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it happened. It took a while, but the effect really like took.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel it also.
I know, I can tell. I just realized like this is so great. And so I think that one is amazing that like you can't like that if you just do, you can reverse if you just do the physical thing, then you start to feel it. It just starts to work right away. It's
Yeah.
so crazy. Like obviously Keith Johnson does this with like his students all the time. It's like I need you to like now say it while staring me in the eyes, and the other person is gonna like shift their eyes away, and then you start to feel the reality of it, even though you're like pretending. You can't tell that you're pretending.
Yeah.
You weren't expecting it with the social circle.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was the first time I'd really had encountered meaningful gaps in status.
Meaningful gaps in status.
Yeah, because like before that, I was just like a normal person faffing around, right? But then like eventually, as I increased in like visibility online, this coincided both with people treating me as differently and also me meeting other people who I treated differently.
Right, of course, that makes sense.
And so, and then
The gaps were expanded.
the gaps expanded and became hypersensitized.
Right, you were rocking it up right there to the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So has it been? Is there? And I was gonna say, forgive me if this is too personal, but then it's like, what am I talking about? You tend to tell the stories, but like the any problems result in the social circle thing from raising up and like having those
yeah, I mean,
dynamics of
there's
it?
like a lot of shitty stuff. One
I'll-
thing
I'll-
that happens
yeah.
is become paranoid. Have you had the paranoia? I don't know. You have like a different.
Yeah,
you're like less
yeah.
controversial, or you like yell at people more online, which I think is actually good for you.
I'm really, 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 really strategic.
Right.
And like part of it, and this is a good like anecdote because it ties into what we were talking about. Like my mom came to one of my shows one time, and then I saw her after the show, and she's talking to some like fans, and she's being like my mom. So she's using my first name, and she's going like, "Yeah, mom," and just like doing stuff, and like there's a group forming around her, and I'm like, "Mom, there is a fucking hole in the shield I meticulously keep up right now." We had to have a conversation afterwards where I was like, "You don't understand. You're carrying around up some power." And then she was reflecting also. She was like, "I was uncomfortable. It felt weird that there was people around me." And someone made a joke because I said that I was your mom, and they were like, "Oh, you're like royalty." And she was like, "Why would you say that to me?" And I had to explain. I was like, "This is not a fucking game."
Yeah.
There's walls. I have really hardcore walls, and you need to understand if you're here. I got one of my shows. You're carrying all of that power. And for example, if you give advice to a young lady, just because, and it's just what you would normally do, you're not giving advice with you. You're giving advice with a fucking spear. They might have waited all year for this, and that is crazy, and that's true for like micro celebrities. It's true on all. I know what I mean. It's like it's more of like whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's but like the story is the end of the story. That's the end of the story.
I mean, I think this is like some parts of this, like I kind of watch from the outside and I envy. I'm like, this seems pretty sustainable for you. And there's like ways I'm like, how can I pull some of what you're doing into what I'm doing without like sacrificing my values? You know, I'm gonna like figure out a story. Just like witnessing it happen is like kind of nice to be like, no, you are you and I am me, and there's a difference.
Wait. Oh, you mean when you're watching me interact with people?
Yeah, just like
Oh,
your
yeah.
general online presence. I mean, it seems like I think you get less hate and controversy for various reasons.
Yeah,
but
for
but
various
for
reasons.
me, some of like the downsides have been paranoia. Like there's a horrible thing where if I talk to somebody normally, what I think is normal. So like if I'm having like a stressful day, and like a random person comes up and is like Aella, and I'm just like for some reason I just like can't right now, and I'm just like I'm sorry, and I leave. Like there's like a decent chance that that's going to turn to them posting a comment online
Yeah.
in like a giant hate thread, being
Yeah.
like I met her and she was really rude bitch.
Yeah.
And then it's like real evidence or something. And so like I have this like weird pressure. I'm like, okay, I need to be 100% fucking nice all the time, no matter who talks to me at any point. Otherwise, it could be turned and like warped into like a weapon against me or something.
Yeah.
Or like there's paranoia around. Like I was actually just telling you recently that now I'm starting to be. I was like paranoid about people who enter my sphere as friends because I've had a couple people, stab me in the back. I would say in order to get social points in different spheres.
Yep.
But now it's like not just my core friend group, but like the friends that those people are friends with. Because now I'm starting to have people who like are 1 or 2 degrees removed from me, who like know that they know somebody who knows me, and then they route into that.
They
and be like,
they intentionally route through the thing to climb the chain.
and then
to
they'll
the
be like,
circle.
I know, like, I went to an event with Aella, and then I saw blah blah blah, and then it turns
Sure.
into this whole thing where now I'm like, literally any social exposure I could have might turn into a whole thing later where somebody is furious about like a thing that I did or didn't even know or I didn't do, or like heard about a thing that I did. It's like it's this whole, and then I'm like, I can't live like this, and I don't know how to
Yeah.
live.
I don't.
guess.
I have there's a question in my heart, or it's a curiosity in my heart. How do I do this? Okay. I have a ticker in my brain. It's like one of these like things that I do to try to like, for example, like avoid like controversy or needing to be paranoid and all this sort of shit. And one of the things I do is when I am doing public speaking, I'm constantly like filtering it through. I'm not trying to talk about things that I think or believe. Like sometimes that needs to burst through, but like the organizing principle is I'm trying to say things that are like tangibly useful to the people. And so everything is sort of like bouncing off of that. And so here's my like social anxiety, right? Or not social anxiety, it's different than that. But here's my like, I'm like, is this turning into simply a conversation about being a celebrity? And is that unlikable? Or is it interesting because we're talking about, because like, I do think that, like, I think that's what was happening in my brain.
Can we check?
I was thinking about asking. Is this interesting?
Yeah.
We're locked in.
Okay.
Would you say it was not interesting if it was not interesting?
What?
Or would there be social pressure against this?
I am interested and also want to know if there's an end time or do we go on?
Oh, I have no idea what time it is.
It's 9:36.
And so we started at
So
what,
I've been going
8:30?
an hour.
Yeah, I think I put like 90 minutes on the thing because I just thought that was
Perfect.
Yeah.
an amount of time.
I'm very interested.
I think this
would
is
totally
great.
Move on if I wasn't so interested.
Okay, sick. Then I'm gonna say what's that? You're suspicious, you're paranoid.
I'm suspicious that you would not tell us to move on, actually.
Well,
You can try. How about you think you could tell us to move on in the next 15 minutes at some point?
Yes, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
and just you.
Yeah.
No one else can do it. But you can, that's someone, boo! Move on!
Can I see a show of hands? Like, who has like some experience like being a micro celebrity? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish. Okay, 8, maybe the next 9.
So, but the thing I think is interesting about the stat, and I mean, there's so many things that I think are interesting. We haven't gotten to half of it, but we've talked about a lot of new things. And one time someone gave me a piece of advice that if you have a conversation with somebody, and you're like, that went places I didn't expect it to, they're like, that's the mark of a good conversation. So, okay, it's interesting as a thing because I think it actually is a gradient and it goes all the way down. And it really like does, like to friend groups. Like you can kind of figure out who is the highest status person in the friend group, obviously.
Did you know I calculated this?
What do you mean calculated?
I have a website, Glosso, where people input a bunch of information, and so I try to develop an algorithm to determine status.
Is that the one where I have a thing where I I have a feeling inside of me that I deserve access to everything?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah. So this was
yeah,
something
yeah.
where I think I went on Twitter one day, and I'm not on Twitter like that, but I saw that you were doing a thing with Glosso and responded, and I was like, why don't you give me access to the thing? Why don't you give me access to the thing? Why don't you give me access to the thing?
Yeah. So
I
you're
just
on
think I
Glosso
deserve
now,
to
right?
have access to places. It's just the belief I have about
Yeah, very high status.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Wait, say about the status thing. Finish your.
Sorry. Yeah. So you made an algorithm to calculate. people's
Yeah,
status?
yeah, which is very loose, right? But a little bit, I was trying to match people, and my theory is that people roughly self-assort based on status levels. You're not perfect. There's other things going on, and ideally, it's better when matches cause self-assortment with status when the status occurs in different areas. Like one person is very good at this skill,
Right,
and
yeah, you're taking
another person is different.
like
good
a
at
direct
different-
competition out, which means you can find your balance better.
Yeah, something,
and
or
trade
you see
places.
the really rich, old guy with the young hot girl, and you're arbitraging the hot physical nature of the woman with the money of the man, right? So
Yeah, or the comedians talk about this, and I talk my musician friends. We also talk about this sometimes, where it's comedians are would you do you have a big choice to make? It's do you want your romantic partner to also be a comedian, or absolutely not? It's that's gonna change things a lot. And I have with musicians too, right? And especially if you're two musicians working in the same genre, it can just things get hard and weird. But if it can be two musicians in wildly different areas, then it's okay, we're gonna be okay. If you can mark your territories, and then I don't know, it just makes it easier to balance off each other and take turns in the positions. It's just built in. Anyways, it makes sense because the Bible quote for it is be with someone equally yoked. You need that's actually necessary. And I think that partially
the Bible says don't be unequally yoked.
What?
The Bible says don't be unequally yoked to non-believers.
Yes, it says.
Sorry, I thought you were saying do be.
No, I was saying it says, and the Bible says that with your you want to marry someone that is you're going to be equally yoked to them, that you're carrying the same weight. That's what's going to make
It was
it work.
talking about salvation. This
So-
isn't what Matthew.
So no, I think that it's okay. This is so funny because you come from this very fundamentalist understanding of Christianity, and I come from one that was the whole time it was just in a different way than that. So I was always because the mainstream, especially in American evangelical Christianity, is this Bible verse means that you can't marry sinners. You should only marry Christians, and Christians, sinners and sinners. It's a sin if you marry a sinner, you're fucked, right? But then I always grew up understanding this to be no, you
doing
can apply
shapes.
this. Yeah, I'm doing
Okay,
shapes.
you're doing
I'm doing
shapes.
shapes.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
I think it's true. I think
Was
it's
it my
true.
ancient you're a heretic is coming out?
I know it happens every time I talk about the Bible. You go that's blasphemy, and you don't even believe it. But the equally yoked thing, I think it's true. You want to be. It's healthy to be paired at an equal status thing. That's good. It's actually bad,
I mean,
right?
yeah, because I think power imbalances in relationships isn't bad.
It's
Because now
bad.
one person is trying to warp themselves in order to please the other because the other person has more of whatever the other person wants.
Which is not what love is about. At least what I think love is about, which is this sort of reciprocal. You're changing on each other, and you have agency both. It's but I don't know. I think it's suspect if you for people who enjoy being higher status person in the relationship sort of permanently, and the lower status because what is that? What's that? What's that? What's that? What's that?
Enjoying being the lower status person in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people feel innately uncomfortable being the lower status person. If when somebody's
Oh, is that
does a
true?
really really hot person want to date you, and you're why does that incredible wealthy beautiful person want to date me? And then you get really up in your head about it. You're you get insecure, you get really reactive. You're I don't know about this, and I think this is some part of your psyche recognizing that this person has way more power.
I have
and that's
seen this.
really uncomfortable.
I have seen this.
And it's a self-protective mechanism, which I
Yeah.
think is like quite healthy and good.
I've seen like a relationship like this where it's like the thing it keeps coming down to like the person like chronically is being like, I just feel like you're too good for me, like that, and
Yeah.
that being like a crying thing, not like a shady thing, but like that's like an emotional thing that keeps like, and I'm like that's fucked, like that's not good, that's
Yeah.
actually bad, that's bad. And then the other thing I've seen, where I was kind of like pushing back a bit against when you were talking about like people don't like being the lower status person is, and this is so wild. So this is an example of like one of those things where I don't tell like a lot of personal anecdotes or make comments on like gender or relationships and dating and stuff. And so I am protected from some of the controversy and paranoia and hate that you swim inside of. So this would be a point where I'm venturing into an area that I don't normally do. I'm just saying it to mark, like, look, this is a barrier.
Okay.
It's one of the ones.
Yeah.
This is one of the ways.
Yeah.
I, and it's so much so that just that now I'm like, don't do it. Just
I mean, it is being
somewhere else.
live streamed.
I know. Yeah, it's on record.
Okay.
Nice.
You can also like pause it.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it because it's probably familiar, and I don't think it's whatever. When I have dated women, sometimes, there's been weird things in relationships. Like I've had like a few. There was one relationship I was with somebody that was a lesbian and had only ever been with women, and then we had a relationship for a while. And when we first, I was like when we were hooking, I was like, "What are you doing?" And I don't know. And so that was funny in itself. But also, what was interesting was being in a romantic and sexual relationship with a woman who had never done that with a man before. And that dynamic was so fucking different and so like more comfortable for me because like that person just had not learned submission and tricksters shifting arounding under patriarchy and a regular dynamic. So it was just like a completely different fucking experience in a relationship with the woman that I'd ever had. And then there's which speaks to the other thing that I've also recognized over time, which is in dating women, I've noticed that despite the fact that I do not desire this in any way at all, that at some point in the course of the relationship, they will start to try to be very submissive and talk about how I have a lot going on and they're less, and they're trying to become a helper. And they start to like just shrink and start to like fit themselves into like, I just want to be supportive and I just feel so, you know what I mean? Like there's that thing. And it's like, I don't want this at all. I don't like it, right? Like I'm not seeking to be in a high status dominant position. I'm not asking for it. I would like you to be more powerful and more in control. But I watch it happen where that starts to happen. But the thing that's interesting about it is it also coincides with, it starts to be snippy bits about how you can't take care of yourself in this way. You can't take care of yourself in this way. Like they start to build something. I watch a thing happen that it's learned, and I think really fucked up because I'm pretty hardcore feminist in some particular ways. I think it's really fucked up. But I think there's a learned thing that a lot of women will slowly sink down. Like you'd be drawn by the gravity of if I can establish a low status position in this relationship. And then also start to cut you on a few points that I have feminine powers. Like I watch that shape enact itself, and it literally is patriarchy. Like it is the patriarchy, like pulling like gravity on like relationship dynamics. The way you're looking at me right now is making me feel very like nervous because you look like hot and cool, and you're going like. And then I know you think a lot about this stuff, so I watch you like. I don't like it, even though I believe what I'm saying.
I really liked all what you were saying, and then you said the word patriarchy, and then I got defensive. But the rest, but But
when I say it, it's like cool.
Yeah. That's what when you
When
talk
I'm
about the
woke,
Bible,
it's cool.
I'm like you talk about like the Bible and Christianity, and then a part of me is like that's demon fuel, and then but you do it different, so I have to like learn that you're different. So I mean, try to apply that to your concept of the patriarchy.
Okay.
But you're correct though. Like there's people who are like, oh, I feel like kind of helpless and small in connection to you, and so like I need to like figure out ways to like dig my fingers into you and just to regain some kind of balance again.
And I think like if you want to do like patriarchy value neutral, it's a shape. Start there, but then I think there is something like kind of creepy that like feminist philosophy and critique and stuff is accurately describing, that there's this like gravitational like pull that's like there's always this like for women it's like you could just like give up and there's a shape for you where you can just become that, you can just sink
But
down.
the opposite is true for men too. Like
mean?
you see like a lot of like men's hatred towards women, especially sexual women, I think is also the thing where it's like, oh, I feel like powerless in contrast to how much you are desired by people, and I have to like poke at you to like demonstrate that you are not.
No, exactly. No, it's a horrible feedback loop. But what I think it ends in is like, by and large, it's like the domination and abuse of women. Like I think it's a feedback loop.
I think it's gender neutral. I'm a gender neutral kind of person.
Yeah, that makes
Equal
sense.
opportunity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Poking the eyes out, both genders.
Because I'm like woke in your base or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's right.
Sure.
Is the new term chud? Is that what that is?
I don't know what that
There was
means,
like
and
a
I don't want to
survey-
learn.
I think you can be a woke chud.
Oh,
What is a chud? I don't.
Can we not learn? I don't want to learn. I don't want to know this. I don't want to know this.
Okay.
I don't want to know this. Info hazard.
Okay, but glosso. Okay,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was building a matchmaking thing, and I was like, I think one of the best predictors of a relationship is each person feels like they're getting a better thing out of the deal than the other person a little bit, which is like an arbitrage
Yeah.
of status.
Yeah.
Which means that like I think like meeting somebody or being matched with somebody roughly equivalent to you in status, even if it's in like a different sphere, it's going to be much more likely to lead to a positive outcome. It's just that people are so like averse to being classed in this way.
Yes.
That like I do it on the back end secretly.
No, I think that's smart though, because I think the because I think that the what was I going to say? Wait, fuck. I think that it's about relationships, and it's about okay, people are getting a good deal, and they feel like, but they don't like to be classed. Right. I think that it's important, and this I'm going back into a little bit of like feminist philosophy, but it's also this is just objectively true, right? But it's that marriage, like the social institution, and romantic and sexual relationships of all kinds, they're like contracts. Like there's this sort of like material power, like economic binding yourself up with each other, and like if you're taking the materialist analysis, then you should be making sure you're having a good deal. And like I think that people sometimes don't like to think about like romantic relationships in this way of like, what do I get out of this? Because they like to like not talk about that and just be like, cause I just like, yeah, you know what I mean? But I think those material effects are real, and they kick in at some point, like no matter what. And you know, I'm just making it about marriage, right? That's like, it's a literal legal contract. So it's like, you gotta be like, okay, am I getting a good deal out of this? And so one of the ways you said that is someone being like, oh, I'm getting a good deal. I'm like, yeah, of course that's a sign of like a good relationship. There's also, I think a lot of like things that are like, if you're talking through a status lens, you can restate it through a lens that is slightly more palatable. And so one of them is, this is just something that, as JJ McCullough told me this, and I asked him about this. I don't know. He just said he had an observation about like his friends that have the best relationships are the ones that when they are not around each other, they really respect one another. And when they're not around one another, they speak of each other very highly. And he's like, that's the sign to me of like, it's going well. Which is kind of the same thing that you were describing, right? It's the same thing? Do you think that's the same thing?
Of relationships?
No, of like, I'm getting a good deal out of this.
Oh.
And like, that's the ideal
Yeah,
like
that's a
matchup.
sign of it.
Yeah, and the other way you can say it is just like, oh, a good relationship is when you both really respect one another.
Yeah. You know, yeah, usually there's a sense of like the arbitrage, right?
What?
Like the arbitrage.
What's arbitrage? What do you mean?
Like for example, like if you date somebody who is you know, a great swimmer, who is like really high status in the swimmer community, you can like arbitrage in their status for like where they are, and then they get what you are, even though you're both uniquely better at your own thing.
Yeah.
You know, you just have something to trade.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all. That's
Yeah,
all I
sure.
mean.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, uniquely good trade out of it.
And that's why celebrities date each other, question mark?
Yeah. No, what? I don't know.
I don't know.
But they do. Which makes sense. I used to think that was so stupid. I was such an idiot about status when I was younger. I really did not like thinking about it or thinking it applied to me. I remember I dated the guy who made Omegle, and when I would go on dates with him, I was living in a group house, and I would talk about him and be like, you know, at the time I was very young, and he was like pretty cool or whatever. And I'd be like, no, I like him for his personality, right? And my friends would make fun of me. They'd be like, you know, you dated because he's like a high status in your local, like you've heard of this site before. And I like completely denied it. And it was only until years later when I looked back and I was like, obviously he was hot because of that. Like obviously that was so deeply warping my reactions around him. And like that's why I was interested in him and other people, is because of that thing.
Yeah.
And then I just was really embarrassed about it for a while. I was like, you know, whatever.
But you got over it. Now
Yeah, I got over it.
You're so high.
Now I'm so shallow. I just don't want to like outclass someone. You know, I'm always terrified of that.
What do you mean by that?
Like sometimes people, I don't want to be more powerful than someone. It's very unsexy. You know, you get the weird thing where they start to feel insecure about it and tear you down.
Unsexy.
It's unsexy to be like more powerful than someone else.
It's unsexy for them.
What?
It makes them unsexy.
It's the dynamic is unsexy
The
for both
dynamic,
of you.
I think you're correct about this. I have because I think I did this in when I did when I did the male dating strategies. I now the lecture is now called. It was called The Philosophy of Fucking when I did it at SlutCon. Now it's called Male Dating Strategies Guaranteed 100%. And it's that part of that
Is
was
the one
like,
about Protestantism?
Yeah, that one. No, it goes like Eros, part 1 Eros, part 2 Seduction, part 3 the Protestant Reformation of 1466 or whatever.
Yeah.
But the in that like that whole piece, it is about sex, but it's also about more than sex. It's also about like art and stuff like that. It's about Eros entirely, and it's also about status. But like those things are like that piece is like me riffing on kind of classic like male dating. What is it called? Male pickup artistry?
Yeah.
Kind of like pickup
PUA.
artists, like the game advice and like conceptions. And it's like taking one and being like, okay, let me like ring this out so it's true and then show you where it's broken. And so one of those is like that you want to be high status. It's the status games thing, and that a lot of the and this is, I remember you were talking. This is one of the first things you ever asked me in person. The following thing that I'm about to say.
Okay.
It was like, I forget how it happened. I remember like it was right there. I remember I walked up to you and I think both of us were awkward because I didn't know what to say and you know what to say. And then I remember you said, I know what to say. I don't know what to say now. You're like, hey, I don't know what to say now. And then in a bit, for somehow you were like, what is the like status relationship for like in queer relationships for like how it like goes down, like seduction and sex, like how does it happen? Because generally, I feel bad doing my impression of you in front
I
of you.
was enjoying it.
I was slipping into it. I wasn't
Yeah,
into
I saw it happen.
Okay, yeah. Is it okay? Should I just do it?
No, you should go for it.
Okay. You were like, what is the relationship between status relationship between queer relationships? Because I wasn't familiar with the heterosexual dynamic, but there's a kind of a cat and mouse thing where it's like the man plays higher status and low status, but you trade places. Then by the end you're submitting, and then he's dominating. Fuck you. So is it a queer thing? Is it different? I don't really know. And that was like the first question I had no answer because I still don't. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. But I only bring that up to reference the fact that like there is like that is, I'll say that's aggregate. There's a common thing where it's like there's a sense in the male dating strategy world where it's like, oh, you want to be high status and make her submit to you and bitches like that or whatever, right? Which is like wrong. It's like because you described it more accurately because you're looking at it and trying to understand it. And which is that like oftentimes like a lot of people have preferences where it ends like that in some sort of like sexual consummating context, but like the process of getting there, like nothing is sexy, nothing is erotic. The eros is found through like the movement and push pull, like in and out, which is literally like sex, right? And so this happens in terms of like when you're like rizzing people and like the status going like teeter-totter, like you're going in and out, playing high sometimes and low sometimes, and like, you know, it's high status to prove that you can play both roles, and it's high status to be like, oh, I'm not bothered by being low status. And when you, this is when you start to get closer, and then eventually you fuck. But like, so the misconception is like dudes be like, I could be high status and just like neg and just like fuck, you know, fucking dominate or whatever. And I'm like, that's not what sexy is. It's not erotic. You have to be able to.
Like often it's actually more of a test or something. Like I agree that like in practice it is a going back and forth. But like
that's what
like
play
one of my
is.
posts, it was I had like footage from the times in romance comedies when people meet. So the man and woman meets in a rom-com. There we go.
Yeah.
That's the term. And usually it is like a vying for a high status to see who breaks first.
Right. Okay.
And I think like what this is doing is basically like testing to see like what your level of power is in some kind of like weird proximal way that we're doing because we don't have like a better option. And I think this can look like this. I mean, this is definitely a type of play, but usually
yeah.
it's like, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I was. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, but usually it doesn't involve playing low. Usually it's like the female plays as high as she can until she can't play higher, and then